Square Enix is not too happy with a studio that they actually just recently collaborated with on a project that ended up being canceled, and now they are suing that developer for what they are seeing as a sort of copyright infringement, or basically stealing assets from this joint project that ended up being axed. Essentially they are saying that these assets were ripped from this project, and now they are not only demanding that this game not be released in the West, but they are also wanting actually $150,000 out of all of this. Okay, so this is quite a lot of information I just threw at you, so let's just kind of see what's going on. This whole conversation is surrounded by a game called Mecharashi, which people are saying means Metal Storm. I don't know what language that translates to Metal Storm, but that's actually a pretty cool name for a game, I'm not gonna lie. But essentially, this is a game by a developer called BlackJack Studio. Now, as you can see with the listing on Steam, it says that it is coming soon. What I'm seeing is that this game has actually already released in China and Japan, but here in the Western world, yeah, it is coming soon. So who is BlackJack Studio? They sound like a mobile game developer that makes like poker games or something. Well, half of that is actually true. It sounds like they are actually like a mobile game developer mainly. In fact, when I look on their Steam page, it looks like this Mecharashi is going to be like their first Steam game. So yeah, they are mainly a mobile developer, and what I was talking about with that joint project with Square Enix, yeah, I guess a while back they collaborated with Square Enix to make a game called Front Mission 2089 Borderscape. I believe I am a bit out of the loop here because I have never heard of Front Mission, but looking it up, yeah, it's quite a big series from Square Enix. It's been around since 1995. They've got quite a bit of games. So yes, essentially Square had reached out to this BlackJack Studio to develop one of the games in this series, but it was canceled. I'm not really sure why it was canceled, but that's not really relevant. The whole point is that this was a project, now it's canceled. The main thing too is that, this is an IP that Square Enix, they own. BlackJack does not own this at all. They were just kind of working on this game for them. So yeah, definitely not good if they stole assets from this project to create a different game. So it looks like this whole lawsuit was just filed like late last week, and Polygon did a whole scribe of the file, and I will link it in the description. Polygon does this a lot. I think that's pretty cool because I do like looking through stuff like this. So when you look at the court filing, yeah, essentially they kind of summarize it in the beginning. Not exactly sure why they refer to BlackJack Studio here as Zishun. I think it has something to do with BlackJack's parent company, 10 Tree Limited. I don't really know, but essentially you can see that, in the second paragraph they say that in 2022, this whole project that they were working on was terminated, but then in October of 2024, last year, they released a game called Metal Storm. Again, it sounds like this was in China and Japan, which they are saying incorporates substantial elements of the licensed game, which is of course that Front Mission game, which includes game mechanics, visual designs, and other protected content. And then as you kind of go forward in this court filing, they give kind of a more specific timeline just in this year, 2025. From what it sounds like, Square Enix did reach out to them and basically say, hey, you got to get rid of a lot of these assets that are in Metal Storm because, this was stolen content. And then it sounds like allegedly they did remove some of this content, but not all of it. So then in February, Square issued a takedown notice, but then this was reversed later in the month. And then just earlier in this month, March, Square Enix did file this in an actual Tokyo District Court. But it is kind of interesting because this filing that we are looking at now is from the US. So what exactly is it, specifically, that Square Enix is alleging that BlackJack stole from this project? Well, it sounds like it's the the mecha designs of the characters or the robots in the game. Kind of think of the big Titanfall robots. Yeah, that's kind of the first thing that I thought of when I saw pictures of these. Yeah, essentially that is part of it. So they say the defendant has deliberately and intentionally copied protectable expression from the licensed game in Metal Storm, including but not limited to mecha designs, characters, game mechanics, and other creative elements. And they also say BlackJack never authorized or consented to Square Enix's use of their copyrighted works. And then as far as what Square is asking for, they are wanting 150 grand. And they do say that is for each copyright infringed. It's kind of unclear, exactly how many copyrights were infringed. I'm not really sure how many 150 grand worth we're talking about here. I'm not really sure how that works. But from what it also sounds like, they really do not not want this game to be released in the West. Again, like I showed you, it just says coming soon right now on Steam, so, you know, we have yet to see this be released in the US, but it might not be released in the US if Square Enix actually does come out on top with this lawsuit. This, to me, is kind of a big one, especially for BlackJack Studios, which, to me, I don't think is like a huge developer. They're probably not made of money, so I really don't know what's going to happen. I think it all just obviously comes down to, can Square Enix prove that this new game is just a complete copy and paste of that front mission game that they were working on, or at least, you know, if some assets are a copy and paste. I don't know. I mean, you know, I used the example of Titanfall. You know, I feel like a lot of games do use this style. Generally speaking, I mean, you know, you got Transformers, you got, I don't know, Bionicles. I don't know, a lot of things come to mind. We will just have to see if Square Enix can prove that specific assets were actually stolen in this new game.